Left-wing people of Reddit, what is your most right-wing opinion? And similarly right-wing people of Reddit, what is your most left-wing opinion? Left-wing, to that are related. 1. The internet has become a hive mind. 2. Something shitty you said 20 years ago shouldn't get you banned from the internet. Edit 1. Everyone seems to agree with this, but each side seems to assume it's an opinion of the other side. How did we get here? When did agreeing with one another go out of fashion? No buts, no sides, just I agree with you. Edit 2. Thanks for the awards. I did not expect this comment to blow up like this. I'm going to bed now, because it's after midnight where I am. I suggest many of you do the same. Good night. Edit 3. Stop saying no one is banned from the internet. I know this. I was being hyperbolic in my original post, because I couldn't think of a better way to say it. In fact, I respect people who can have a wrong opinion at some point, but then clearly don't continue insisting on it throughout their life. It's a good quality. I'm right, homosexuality should not be a political issue. It's your life. Why should other people care? Correction, do whatever you want with your body, not my decision. Is that your stance on pretty much everything? It is mine. Just leave me alone, and do whatever the hell you wanna do with your life. Leave me alone. Don't touch my stuff. That's my purse. I don't know you. Right wing here. Legalize weed. Gay/trans/whatever is none of my business. Do what you want. Let's take better care of the environment. This thread could be used as an argument as to why we need more than 2 parties. If we actually had more viable political parties, I think people would start to realize that Democrats don't represent the left and Republicans don't represent the right, and also that left and right are just concepts that don't necessarily define an individual's opinion. That too. I'm right, but I've become pretty anti-death penalty as I get older. I've seen cases where the wrong person was executed. You cannot undo that. And while I think there are still people who just need killing, Ted Bundy or Oba Chandler for example, the way we go about it, and the way prosecutors sometimes use it as a club to make people do what they want is just wrong. I'm left, but my reasons for disliking the death penalty come from a conservative impulse of really not liking the state having the power over life and death. If a state has the power to decide who lives or dies, that power will inevitably be subject to the same corruption as every other power. The reason for the state's existence should be in collective service to life, and a state that has the power to take life will too often deserve. Yay for me. It's not a question of whether some people deserve to die, it's a question of whether juries and our justice system are accurate enough to make that decision. And, as you mentioned, there's just been too many exonerations, sometime even after the person is dead. This doesn't answer the question, but good job for keeping opinions to yourself. I haven't seen one argument spawn from this. You're right. Or are they left? Right wing. Most left-wing opinion, the environment/animals should be protected. I agree, but I don't think environmental issues should be compartmentalized to either side of the political aisle. Nature transcends politics. I feel the same way about healthcare. It shouldn't be a split issue. Right, extremely pro-environment and conservation. Agreed. It's my POV that it should something the evangelical right should rally around. The Bible tells us to be good stewards of what's being given to us, and the earth is our biggest collective responsibility. We should leave it better than we found it. Arguments against that are crazy frustrating. Left wing here. We need nuclear power, ASAP, since it's the greenest energy source we have, and stable. More neutral opinion. These threads are starting to get old. Edit. I withdraw the last statement. We do need more of these threads to heal some ridiculous political divides, as a few people pointed out. Also happy to have a completely ripped inbox. Happy to see a lot of pro-nuclear posts, and that the left in the US at least is in fact in favor. Go nuclear. I'm seeing a lot of good stuff in this thread. If everyone voted in alignment with their interests and didn't just go with just party identification, we would move along as a nation much faster. Just saying. Edit. I'm referring to America's politics. Sorry for any confusion. Right wing and my most left viewpoint is a tie between being for climate change reform and Medicare for all. My Phil is a Republican from a very red state, but shortly after becoming eligible for Medicare and staying to use it, he flipped his opinion completely 180 and would 100% support Medicare for all. He was basically like, hey, this is great. Why doesn't it work like this across the board? Left wing, not a fan of cancel culture or the whole woke thing that's going on. Ditto on this. I'm left leaning, and I can only think of like a handful of things that should get a person cancelled, and that's like murder, pedophilia, stuff like that. But when a 16-year was literally 12, and he was in a Snapchat with his friend and the friend who was also 12 was wearing a white hood and everyone assumed it was a KKK hood and the public pressure forced the now 16-year to drop out of American Idol and effectively tarnished his reputation for being in a video with his friend when he was 12, yeah, that crossed a huge line for me. Here's an article on it. Socialized healthcare. Bear with me here. It costs us more after the fact to have unhealthy citizens, smacks the worker class, and creates a huge barrier to starting a company. Your job shouldn't provide healthcare. Let the government concern itself with keeping citizens healthy and educated and do a good ducking job of it instead of the bare minimum, and you'll find yourself with a healthy, willing, working class and a system where smaller businesses can compete more openly. Edit. Also many more people very happy to work in middleware and service jobs and not be bitter about it because they are kept healthy. Your job shouldn't provide healthcare. A lot of small businesses don't get started because of this onus, or they set up their staffing with part-timers only. It's crazy that this is an issue when it so clearly holds the economy back. I'm a right-leaning Christian. You know that t-shirt that says I want gay married couples to defend their marijuana plants with guns? Yeah, pretty much that. Edit. Wow, this thing blew up. To those who accuse me of being a hypocrite or not a Christian because I don't have an apparent hatred of gay marriage, please consider that the top rated and awarded comment on my post is a plea for Christians to act more like Christ, along with what that might mean. I'm far from perfect, but considering that those in this thread with differing political and theological views than mine seem to be willing to at least have a good faith conversation over a beer in a bitterly divided time, that's enough evidence to tell me that I'm probably on the right track about something. Cheers. I just want Christians to act like Christ. I'm right, but climate change is real. It's fucking stupid that you even had to write this. Why is climate change even a political issue? Because a group of people spent millions of dollars hiding it, and then when it became public knowledge spent millions more making it a wedge issue. It's a manufactured controversy. That's American history in a nutshell. A variety, climate change, public transportation, a lot of social safety net stuff. IDK if it's really left wing, but there was a small group of conservatives that were against public land. I love public land. Edit. A lot of people are asking why I'm conservative or similar questions. It's because there are other issues that way more / take priority. They nudge me over that mystical line that supposedly separates us. I routinely vote either party and even for minority parties. The public land thing baffles me. I live near Ammon Bundy, and that idiot is all about ending public land. We are surrounded by it, and it's literally the main thing that makes Idaho a really neat place. Why would anyone want to get rid of such an amazing opportunity for everyone to experience nature? Ducking insane. He wants free land to raise his cattle on. Doesn't want to pay taxes on it, or any fees for using it to feed his cattle. Left wing here. Guns aren't that bad if you have qualifications and take care of them. Mom tried to raise me around her and her guns. I don't like the idea of hold one myself, but I'd trust my mother with her. 22. Edit. Jesus ducking. I have to turn off Reddit notifications so I can sleep. Didn't realize so many people agreed with me, but I'm glad we are able to come together under my comment. Yes, I came on to say something similar. The Second Amendment is a huge issue for me. My parents come from an occupied county, and when only the government has access to weapons it really puts the right to bear arms in focus. Right wing. We need universal healthcare. Medicare for all. The left wants it for moral reasons. I want it for economic reasons. Health insurance companies and drug manufacturers are leeches. 17% of the USA's GDP goes to healthcare. 4% of Singapore's GDP goes to healthcare. Singapore has better outcomes. We need reform. Believe me, the left also wants it for economic reasons. Yeah, a common thing pointed out by the left is that businesses would save money and more people could become entrepreneurs and risk working on a new idea or building a business if they weren't worried about losing their company's healthcare plan. I'm as lefty as they come. I was a delegate for Sanders in Las Vegas where no chairs were thrown. Duck you Andrew Davey and John Ralston. Allegedly right-wing notion. I believe a freely offered national voter ID card has merit. Lots of nations I aspire to emulate have adopted this practice, and I don't see how it's discriminatory. If it's free, I agree. And easy to get. This is more important. It needs to be freely and readily available. No standing in lines during work hours. No worrying about which neighborhood you live in, or access via public transportation. Right, but pro-gay marriage and anti-death penalty. Lib-right, labor unions, at least in the private sector, are objectively good and are the sexiest alternative to top-down government regulations, and no one in favor of free markets should be against them. In Sweden we have huge labor unions and employers unions who negotiate with each other and essentially set the standard for the entire market. The government usually stays the duck out of it, and whenever it pokes its nose in both sides, tells it to duck off. Seems to me like a right-winger's paradise. I'm left, and I've accepted this one will probably offend somebody. I'm kind of tired of enforced representation. Now, hear me out. I absolutely think representation is important. That being said, every Netflix original I've seen over the last year or so has a character whose entire trait is what they represent. A big neon flashing sign pointing to somebody say look /he is gay, or whatever else they are. I want real characters. Moog from the book Kings of the Wild is a great example. He's an amazing character, with depth and a personality. He's gay, it's a known fact, but it's not who he is. I want representation characters, not representation characters. I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure what your orientation is, it doesn't matter, but as a gay who runs in gay circles, most gays I know are sick and tired of the type of forced representation we are getting as well. It was good, at first, to finally see someone you could identify with in a positive light on TV, but now it just feels like the same old cliches and stereotypes are being churned out over and over, or worse, sometimes shoved into a show to meet demands, rather than actually contributing anything to the overall story or lives of the real characters. I'm a lesbian and I cannot tell you how annoying it is that everyone freaks out over one lesbian character in a movie or show. Then tell me all about it. Then I watch it, and the lesbian either is heartbroken, murdered, or the entire plot is centered around her coming to terms with her shitty life or parents or coming out. I want slapstick comedy lesbians. I want lesbians as side characters who just buy a duck in Bajol or work with the protagonist at the office. I want sitcom lesbians who just exist and have happy, boring lives like everyone else. So much media is so focused on representation that it ends up being a stereotype anyway. It's exhausting. I'm a progressive, and I agree that both MSNBC and CNN are giant pieces of shit. Absolutely, as a liberal, and I do embrace that title, news should be informational, not political. Right wing here, I have a few. 1. Abortion for all, and they're free for anyone. 2. Same-sex marriage. 3. I don't participate, but marijuana should be legal. 4. Churches should be taxed like any other business. I'm a liberal. Guns are fun. Cocaine is also fun. I'm left. I hate most cultural appropriation claims. Leave people be, they likely have absolutely no ill intentions towards the culture. Dreads on white people is fine. Cultural appropriation is culture. That's how it happens. Culture isn't set in stone, it's always evolving and developing, and trying to hold that is horrendous. Exactly. I was raised to believe in the great American melting pot, so all of these people who talk about cultural appropriation just seem like a bunch of racists to me. I'm a conservative and wish my party were more Christ-like. This leads to me supporting ideas like universal healthcare, UBI, and police reform. Right wing. Universal healthcare sounds good. Right, healthcare and education should be free. Left wing. I think getting rid of nuclear weapons is a really bad idea. Sure, reduce the amount, but keep some around. They act as a deterrent to war and are basically the only reason WW3 hasn't happened yet. I don't like them, but nukes are worth it as long as they keep global war at bay. They're worth it until the second they're actually used. Keep the nukes. I don't want to die fighting Russia over Finnmark. No offense to the people of Finnmark. All three of you. We dare not tempt them with weakness. For only when our arms are sufficient beyond doubt can we be certain beyond doubt that they will never be employed. John F. Kennedy. Be peaceful, not harmless. I just came here to say Reddit is 10 times better than Facebook when it comes to this kind of stuff. Facebook causes people to hate each other and argue non-stop over political opinions. The whole platform is full of opinions and arguments and censorship and hurt feelings. It's terrible for people's mental health. Personally, it got so annoying I actually deleted Facebook from my phone and don't even use it anymore. To be honest, this is one of the most balanced and reasonable Reddit threads I've seen on political polarity. Often it's a progressive left-wing echo chamber in no small part due to the soft censorship that the voting system provides. People upvote and downvote with their emotions. I'm left. I think people are way too politically correct now. PC principle in South Park comes to mind. I think it's okay to poke fun at each other, even if it's cultural silliness, providing that it's genuinely not hurtful, and that the people you're joking with / at are cool with it too. If we can't laugh at ourselves, then we must lead miserable lives. The whole PC thing has gone way too far. Can't even make a simple joke anymore without being attacked. As someone who would be described as a right-winger, I'd say minimal income is a great idea. It's so much better than welfare, where you get punished for working. With mincome, if you work, that simply gets added to what you already get. It still incentivizes people to work, but provides a good safety net. I'm conservative myself, and still sometimes consider how universal basic income would help us all, especially those who are in poverty or even middle class folks needing that little extra to afford medications or daycare etc. But this seems like an equally great or better alternative. So, you want UB? I think of myself as a leftist, but I consider freedom of speech ducking sacred. Even Nazis and racists should be able to have their say without fear of losing their jobs, unless they cross the line between talk and action, if only so that the rest of us can avoid them. Freedom to speak their mind, absolutely, but not freedom from the social consequences. It's funny when the bigots start claiming that their rights are infringed because people want to punch their teeth out for the awful shit they spew. Lean left. The specifically crazy and violent homeless people you see on the street, attacking people, dumping buckets of poop on random ladies, should be picked up and taken somewhere to rehabilitate them. They hurt themselves and others, and their decision to be that way is not one made of sound mind. They would be declared incompetent to stand trial if they did something horrible. So I think it's in their best interest, and the best interest of the community, that they are taken somewhere to get their life together, even if it's not what they say they want. Take away the drugs and booze, feed them real food, teach them actual skills, and how to get in control of their actions. And here's the most controversial part: if they cannot be rehabilitated, then they don't leave the facility. Real leftist here, and I think most people in my circles would agree. I live in California, where homelessness is an obvious problem, yet the leaders in charge want to do everything to solve the problem except provide them housing, or at least large-scale rehabilitation centers. The SOP here seems to be to move them somewhere else or otherwise sweep the problem under the rug. Not spending tax money wastefully is a good thing. Where I disagree with the right is that I consider subsidizing the tax bills of the rich, empire building, and etc. to be a giant ducking waste of money, and consider things like infrastructure, education, and a social safety net to be prudent investments. Honestly, no idea anymore. Grew up Republican, feel like I have mostly Republican values insofar as my raising was concerned, yet I have absolutely no connection to the current Republican Party. Not sure if I'm moving left, or the current party just turned unrecognizable. I'm left wing, and my most right wing opinion is that I'm pro gun. I'm more right wing than Genghis Khan, but I think that a country that does not have universal healthcare cannot possibly call itself civilized. This is an opinion that far lefts, centrists, rights and far rights should share, no matter what. I'm far left in terms of politics, and I don't think religion is the most evil thing in the world anymore. I was raised Catholic, became an atheist as a teenager, and I didn't get much from the atheist community. When people use their faith to spread hate, then it becomes a problem. Most religious people aren't hateful, and the community aspect of religion is something I miss. Is there really an atheist community? I've never felt the slightest connection with someone over the fact that we both don't believe in something. I just don't care. Bonds are over things you actually have in common, that you care about. I also have never become friends with someone over a common stance, that we both don't give a duck about My Little Pony. Right wing and agree with living wages and good employment terms, and very much against firing without a reason after a short time of employment trial. Left wing. Sex work can be extremely damaging, it's not empowering, and it's absolutely steeped in misogyny. Feminism has become a complete parody of itself, and this current wave has done jack shit, and will never see gains the previous wave saw. I'm a socially conservative left-wing person, so a lot of my views aren't in step with what leftists think. I don't particularly care though. As a pretty RW person, I appreciate this one. One of my favorite lines is, these people hate capitalism and patriarchy until the exact moment they perfectly intersect in the sex industry. So H/T to you for marching to the beat of a different drum. Pretty centrist, but I'll piss off both sides. There should be more early voting, longer hours, more days, more locations. Now to piss off the other side. ID should absolutely be required. I'm pro-choice, even though I would never personally turn to abortion as an option for one of my unborn children. I also support making all undocumented immigrants documented. Anyone that has been here for more than a year, works, and contributes to an American community should be granted citizenship. Then we can focus on the process of immigrating, streamlining it or making it so that it is a better option than living in America undocumented. I've been told that I'm more libertarian than anything else, but if you remember Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, when the Sorting Hat told Harry he had all the makings of a great Slytherin member and Harry basically said EWW no THX. That's how I feel about identifying as libertarian. Left wing. There is an age for children too young for them to decide their sexuality, change their pronouns or name. I would say take some time to think about it for a few years while your brain is still developing and changing. Edit. I really appreciate all of the dialogue I'm receiving on this thread. I think I was viewing names and pronouns as a more permanent change, but a lot of posts have really shown me they're not. Playing around with expression until it feels right is a great freedom we have and shouldn't be confined to age. Thank you to everyone who has shown me different perspectives. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more curated daily Reddit stories.